Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Woodstock City Council, September 18th, 2025. This hybrid meeting is being held in person here in council chambers and electronically in accordance with section 238, subsection 3.3 of the Municipal Act and section 16.6.24 of the City of Woodstock Procedure Bylaw. This meeting is being live streamed to the city's YouTube channel, and a recording will be posted on the city's website following the meeting. An agenda of the meeting can be found on the agendas, meetings, and minutes page of the city's website. We do not have any councillors attending virtually this evening. And Councillor Lauder will be reading the resolutions. We did have a closed session. We started slightly early at 6:38, and we are done at 6:43 this evening. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Councillor Tate.
I, Councillor Tate, declare the following potential pecuniary interest, agenda item 9A, subject matter ZN 82509, application zone change 1474600, Ontario Inc., 350 Van Sittert Avenue and 360 Devonshire Ave, as I am within the notification zone for the above to be rezoned.
So you'll also have item 18A to declare, as that's the bylaw.
I, Councillor Tate, declare the following potential pecuniary interest, agenda item 18A 9773-25, a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 8626-10 as amended ZN 82509, 350 Van Sittert Ave - 360 Devonshire Ave. I am within the notification zone for the above to be rezoned.
Thank you, Councillor Tate. Anyone else? So I as well have the same item. I, Mayor Jerry Accioni, declare the following potential indirect pecuniary interest agenda item number 9A as well as 18A for subject matters NN 8-25-09, application zone change for 350 Van Sittert Avenue and 360 Devonshire Avenue. General nature of the interest, as the applicant is my family dentist and a friend. Anyone else? Seeing none. Any disclosure of new business? Matters arising from the minutes? And now the minutes. Councillor Lauder?
Thank you. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Schadenberg, that the minutes of the regular meeting of the Woodstock City Council held on September the 4th, 2025 be adopted.
Thank you. Any questions or concerns with those? All those in favor? That is carried. Next up, additions to the agenda. Councillor Lauder.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Leatherborough, that the following items be added to the agenda. Item 15A, bird-friendly city designation.
Thank you. Any questions or objections to that? Seeing none, all those in favor? That is carried. No presentations, but of course we do have delegations, and would like to welcome Mayor Ed Ketchabah, Municipality of BAM, SCORE EDC Chair. Oh, yeah, I was gonna say, whoops. I saw you sitting there too. My apologies. And feel free to pull that microphone down. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Mayor and members of council. I want to send regrets from Mayor Ketchabah. He was unable to be here this evening, so I'll be going through our update for you. My name is Kimberly Earls, and I'm the Executive Director of SCORE EDC. And just see if I can manage the technology. Oh, look at that. I'm already off to a good start. Awesome. Okay. So a little bit about SCORE. We were created in 2010 as all the 5 tobacco municipalities came together as a means to share resources and plan for future prosperity. And we've continued that throughout the 15+ years that we have been in existence. A little bit about the structure. So the structure is each of the 5 county partners, appoints 2 appointees to the board of directors, who then provide direction to myself as the executive director. We also have a staff committee, the Resource Advisory Committee, and that's usually made up of CAOs or Director of Economic Development from each of the county. And then we also have several ministries and regional stakeholders that also sit on that committee, and then staff. And here for Oxford County, we have Bernia Martin and Deb Gilvasi are our members here. And our priorities for the region are infrastructure, supporting economic development, human capital, supporting economic development, and our key sectors, agriculture and agri-food. And so I just went through and tried to align where SCORE's priorities match with the cities, and I won't go into all that. You obviously know your priorities and your strategic plan, but I will just take a moment to say that we do support one another and have common strategic goals in many of the places. And I've just taken a few minutes to highlight those in the package. So one of the things that SCORE's strategic goals support is that infrastructure piece. So one of the projects that we have been working on recently is Southwest Community Transit, and I'll talk a little bit about that a bit later on, but also Fanshawe College. I had the opportunity to sit on the strategic planning consultation committee for the college, and I know that there's a great campus here in Woodstock, and we're happy to have not only Fanshawe College, but other post-secondary institutions across the region, and they are so important to our economic success. Another of the projects that we focus on are rail and larger infrastructure projects. So I'll just spend a couple minutes touching on each one of these for a few minutes. So SCT stands for Southwest Community Transit, and it started as actually SCORE did a lot of advocacy back in 2013, 2014, and worked with the province to get the initial funding for the pilot program that many communities took advantage of. And once that programming or those funding agreements were in place, we developed Southwest Community Transit as a means to share information and coordinate routes where possible. And so this is just the visual, I think, gives a good snapshot. You can see it goes well beyond the SCORE region, but in the effort to be collaborative and inclusive and supportive of all our neighboring counties, we did offer that connection to share in all of our knowledge and advocacy where possible. So you can see that covers quite a large area. And right now we are at a point for SCT, and I want to take a few moments to thank you for the letter of support that you recently provided. But we are at a point now where we're applying for the Ontario Transit Investment Fund. And what our application is, just as a reminder, is we are looking forward to have a regional governance structure that supports transit and intercommunity transit in particular across the region. And so what that will look like will hopefully be to support people being able to access healthcare, education, and have access to employment and affordable options for travel throughout the region. The other thing that I think is particularly important here in Woodstock and within the greater Oxford County and the region is our short line rail project. So we worked with a short line rail provider and CN, and there was a line that's called the Cuga subdivision that runs from roughly Norfolk County all across the southern parts of Oxford County and into Elgin County, and provides access to several businesses along that line. But more importantly than that, it opens up the entire rail infrastructure throughout southwestern Ontario and really acts as a catalyst for business investment. I know you here in Woodstock certainly appreciate the passenger rail, but also the freight rail and what it brings to investment traction and business retention. And that's really been the impetus for this rail infrastructure, ensuring that stays in place and that we take advantage of that on a regional scale. And that that just shows sort of where the line goes and a little bit about the economic impact of that across the region. And then I just want to touch briefly on energy. So back in 2015, 2016, SCORE really started advocating for the expansion of the natural gas program across Western Ontario, mainly to support manufacturing, agriculture, and residential. We were in a bit of a slower growth period at the time. And had we had the foresight of knowing the growth and the changes that we're seeing now, we would have realized again how much more important that is. And we've continued to monitor and advocate for changes in this energy infrastructure within our region. And again, I think this slide is important because even though the Rural Housing Information Systems is not a SCORE-led initiative, I think it really demonstrates how SCORE is a collaborative organization and how we support other organizations, and that we don't always need to take the lead, but continue to support those priority pieces that we think are needed across the region. So Rural Ontario Institute created this platform, and it really is a means to support various kinds of development, and to support smaller scale developers in rural and small urban communities. And so it's another tool in our toolbox of managing and encouraging the appropriate growth in the appropriate place. So this was something we're also very proud to support and be a part of. And I did mention earlier about the Fanshawe College, but again, some of the highlights of SCORE in working with our post-secondary institutions, I'll give a couple examples. One is we were able to work with colleges to help develop the agribusiness management program, and that's offered at both the London campus and the Simcoe campus. As well, we were helped to develop the agricultural equipment operator program. And those programs support the agricultural sector across the board, but also support things like the Lely Training Institute here in Woodstock and other agricultural businesses that we have here. So it's really keeping and enhancing that domestic agricultural workforce in the region. And then we continue to work with the Ontario Federation of Agriculture, and there is a couple promotional projects that we've continued to support and work with them on. And just looking ahead, some of the things that we are also always working on is advocacy for the projects that we are undertaking, but also projects that we think require some attention or some collaboration with other levels of government. And at the recent AMO conference, we were able to meet with 7 ministers and speak about issues that were important here in our region. And I think because of that respect and those relationships that we've built over time, we were invited to meet with Minister Fideli in Niagara a few weeks ago to talk about the Trade Impacted Communities program. And he encouraged us to apply for that program funding to support regional economies. And so again, I think it's that cumulative effort that really supports all the work that we do collectively as a region. And again, I just want to sort of reiterate that SCORE is a very action-oriented organization. So we do a lot of advocacy, but aside from that, we're a testing ground for projects like SCT, like ensuring that we have rail infrastructure, all of those great things, creation of a business resources toolkit with our workforce planning boards. So it's not just advocacy, it's advocacy in action. And that's one of the things that we really pride ourselves on. And why it still matters to be a SCORE member. And that's, I always think of an example when COVID was in its early stages. One of the regional MPs reached out to me. They were concerned about getting early crop asparagus and strawberry workers in on time that were coming from other places. And they knew that having that organization there, they called me up and they were able to speak to it on the floor at question period. And so I think it's that cumulative effect of having those trust and those strong relationships that we can be responsive on very little notice, as well as continue the work that we do that is ongoing. And so looking to the future, we'll continue to work on some sector development pieces in agriculture. We are continuing a supply chain resilience project, looking at some growth related issues to support communities. Again, those are not in the municipal purview, but I'm sure you all are the first to hear at council if there is a educational or satellite campus. And so we try and do our best to support Brad and his team here so that we are supporting you all across the region in those efforts as well. And again, I think in addition to all the projects that we do and that we provide updates about annually, I think the real value of SCORE is that cumulative value. And we've been operating for just over 15 years. And it's been a consistent budget. So it was 25,000 per partner per year. Just this last year, we asked for a $5,000 increase. But I think, we've accomplished a lot. When you look at the scale and scope and the breadth of the projects that we've worked on under a very modest budget, I feel like we've done a lot to hopefully support our county partners, but also to support you here in the city of Woodstock. So that is it, and I'm happy to answer any questions or speak to anything further if anybody has anything.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions of Ms. Earls? Seeing none. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much.
for
Have a
coming.
nice evening.
Looking for a motion on the floor? Counselor Leatherborough?
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council receive the presentation from SCORE EDC as information.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Counselor Martin, discussion or questions? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All those in favor? That is carried. Next up, thank you. I'd like to welcome Elise and Dina from the Woodstock Environmental Advisory Committee. Are you both coming up? No? Okay. Talking about application to Nature Canada for bird-friendly city certification. Welcome.
Perfect. Thank you. Go. And, oh, I should be more tech savvy, but I'm not. You see it in front of me. It is open in front of me. Okay. Not just me. I don't claim to be despite my.
If IT can put that on the screen, please. Thank you.
Wonderful. Good.
See, you ask and it happens.
There we go. Things are looking up. Wonderful. So I think I'll. So thank you very much. My name's Elise and my colleague Dina are here representing the Woodstock Environmental Advisory Committee along with our bird team subcommittee. We wish to seek council's approval of our application for the city of Woodstock to become designated as bird friendly as designated by Nature Canada. So I'm going to try my best to stay within the allotted time and walk you through this process. So you're asking yourself, why birds? There are several main reasons to focus on our bird populations. Birds are highly visible across our landscape. Talking about birds is an easy entry point to talking about broader biodiversity issues. And further to that, we know that North American bird populations are decreasing at alarming rates. A 2019 report published in Science described the loss of 3 billion birds in North America since 1970. While we have, and you'll see on the graph in front of you, while we have seen notable increases in species designated as birds of prey, waterfowl, and wetland populations, and this has been largely attributed to conservation efforts over the last several years, the State of Canada's Birds Report shows aerial insectivores, so those are your swallows, your swifts, your flycatchers, grassland birds, and shorebirds are in decline. Much of these losses are caused by human activities. The largest contributors of these declines are a direct result of habitat loss, collision with windows, vehicles, pesticide use, to name a few. So you're asking yourself, what does a bird-friendly city look like? Since 2022, Nature Canada has been actively working with municipalities across the country to help establish standards through the bird-friendly city designation. The designation centers on three main pillars: addressing and mitigating threats, restoring natural habitat, and outreach and education. In turn, to achieve the designation, the applicant city must show how they've met or exceeded a minimum standard within each of the three pillars. So, the bird-friendly city vision. A bird-friendly city is a community where key threats to birds are effectively mitigated, nature is restored so native bird populations can thrive, residents are actively engaged in monitoring and admiring local bird populations, organizations are creating events to protect our birds, progressive municipal policy is created to protect urban bird populations, and a bird team has been created to oversee and lead these initiatives. So as previously mentioned, the bird-friendly city designation is employed locally, however driven nationally. Nature Canada has reported interest from around 40 municipalities across the country. There are approximately 20 designated cities across Ontario, spanning from Windsor to Cornwall, including neighboring municipalities London, Kitchener, and Guelph. It is our goal to create a naturalized, biodiverse corridor that spans known migratory paths, not only across the province, but across the country. So benefits of becoming a bird-friendly city. The certification is a badge of honor and a source of community pride. It signals that Woodstock, and I apologize, that should say Woodstock, is leading efforts to reverse bird population declines. It bolsters community pride, highlighting our effort to protect bird populations. Woodstock will be issued a certificate recognizing our contribution. Certification provides a structured framework and standards to measure our progress while also offering guidance as to next steps and flexibility as to how they are implemented. We can network with other cities. As a bird-friendly city, Woodstock will have access to a network of other cities and community with shared values. Ecotourism. Certified bird cities can use their status to attract visitors and promote bird-based ecotourism. And lastly, and obviously, access to nature has been shown to aid in various health benefits. So where are we in the certification process? So we and the bird team have engaged in the following steps. In early 2023, we completed a basic questionnaire found on Nature Canada website to assess whether, as a municipality, we had the basic framework to become bird friendly. Further to this, on May 4th, 2023, members of WEAC presented the certification program to Council and proclaimed World Migratory Bird Day. Representatives of our team have been in communication with Autumn Jordan, organizer of the Bird Friendly City Certification Program, to review components of our initial questionnaire and address any questions. This was then followed by a webinar hosted by Nature Canada and our bird team. So we're now at step 4. We have completed a draft application that has been prepared and attached to the report. Information has been gathered based on publicly available information and information we gathered from staff. So certification levels. There are 3 levels of the Bird Friendly City certification program: entry, intermediate, and high. So essentially, a municipality does not need to score high across all 3 levels to earn its designation. Just kind of a run through of application questions. As previously mentioned, the application is broken down into 3 main sections. Section 1 really focuses on reducing human-related threats. This includes cats roaming at large, bird collision with windows or vehicles, light pollution, pesticide use, plastic pollution, disturbance of birds in natural areas, or important bird habitats. Section 2 is focused on habitat protection, restoration, and climate resiliency, which can include protected areas policy, biodiversity strategy, climate change strategy, ecological approach to managing trees and forested areas, and policies promoting native species. Section 3 is community outreach and education, which can include publicly visible information about local bird populations, active citizen programs, and/or businesses that encourage bird-friendly products. So mandatory criteria, all cities and towns that have met the standards will come with some common elements, which must include hosting an annual World Migratory Bird Day event in the community, pass a council resolution, having a community-based bird team, and provide evidence that you have determined in which traditional territories your municipality occurs within, and that you are encouraging participation of all members. Lastly, we at our Bird Friendly Team Subcommittee have committed to drafting an application to submit to Nature Canada to help promote our bird-friendly status and oversee the planning of a World Migratory Bird Day event held every May, oversee the creation of a report card to present it to council alongside our 2-year renewal application. So, and further to that, complete the renewal application to maintain our bird-friendly status every 2 years as required by Nature Canada. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Well, thank you. Any questions? Counselor Shanberg.
Yeah, from the mayor through to our delegation from the WEAC. Just had mentioned that myself and Councilor Leatherbar are on the WEAC committee. We've seen some of the hard work and efforts that have been put together by Danath and yourself and others on the committee. And when I mean committee, I mean really it's a subcommittee as well, because we've seen participation from the Woodstock Field Naturalist Group, also avid bird watchers and photographers and stuff like that that really know the species of birds. And I think purposely, the WEAC did a great job by creating the new category for the Woodstock City Beautiful Awards by creating this sort of the pollinator type garden, which of course not only attracts bees, but certainly attracts hummingbirds. So that's sort of part of the process. And the other thing, maybe just more of a comment than I will have a question for you. What's interesting is the city of London has a website after they got the approval to become a bird friendly city. And they actually went as far as creating themselves having a City of London bird, and that being the northern cardinal. So maybe that's something we could do somewhere along the line as far as the city of Woodstock goes. But it is a multi-step process, and I think, for example, that the city parks department has even helped along with the work at McWhinney Park already to be able to sort of create more of a wetland on what used to be the 8th fairway at the Cedar Creek Golf Course. So maybe just generally with your background, Ducks Unlimited and whatnot, talk about the importance of being bird friendly for a community just in general terms.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bark. So as I said, this is just using birds is an easy and, for a lot of individuals, accessible way to look at some broader issues. And that really revolves around habitat creation, habitat protection. It's so important, not only for our migratory species, it's been, and many of you have probably heard in the news, such a hot topic, not only to our migratory birds, but our insect populations, they need our help. And really where are the hotspots within our urban centers? We need to create those nice green corridors to help them through their migratory process. So that's a big one. Climate resiliency. We're going to continue to hear about climate mitigation measures. Creating these habitats that can sustain our future climate scenarios is not only going to aid wildlife, but also help us as we navigate these, as I said, future climate scenarios. So it's the multitude, getting individuals out in nature. And what I like about this program is, again, it's very accessible, but it creates another platform for individuals who maybe want to engage in nature, want to engage in birding, but aren't quite sure how. We have so many beautiful resources within the city. Let's create a platform for individuals to either learn about it or hear about it in a different way. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Tate.
Through the chair, a comment along the same as Councillor Schadenberg. We were speaking earlier, and Elsie's been on the committee for almost 20 years, so a lot of dedication.
A long time.
A lot of dedication. And
She was 5 when she
Yeah.
started, just for the record.
It was a whole person.
The committee is very active, and they've done a lot of positive things in our community. And just this is more for my son's benefit, because he insists that the cat should go outside. I won't let them go outside. So I read once that the number one problem in cities for the birds is cats. Cats is their number one prey, and that's what causes the significant shortage of bird.
Absolutely. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Accioni, through you. I found this fascinating, and I have a question and a comment, if I may. while you fight with your microphone. My questions, you mentioned an application process. Is there a fee associated with that application process? And is there enough money in your annual budget as a committee to cover that fee? Or will you be needing additional funds for that? And then I have a comment afterwards.
That's great. Thank you for your question. So there's absolutely no fee in submitting the application and also maintaining the application. So again, what's great about this certification process, we are pooling on resources, not only the Woodstock Environmental Advisory Committee, our bird team, but with the excellent help of the Woodstock Field Naturalists. So we have this information that individuals are collecting on an annual basis, and it really revolves around, your breeding bird surveys, your bird count surveys. They're going out, they're pooling the information. What I love about it is now we have a municipal context to take this information, gather it, learn from it, understand what we're doing well, where we can improve, and also track progress over time. And that's something that we know the information's out there, and now we're just bringing it together. So no cost, as I said, to submit our application and no cost to maintain our designation. We're just pooling on the resources of volunteers who are already doing this work.
And to just follow up with a comment, I own a property just outside of the city, and it's a rural property, lots of trees, mature trees. This was the first year we had barn swallows, and I had a nest and actually got to hold a baby barn swallow because he came indoors and we had to get him back out. But our neighboring field was a sunflower field this year, and you mentioned tourism in your presentation. People came from all over Ontario with their high-powered lenses and cameras and would sit for 6 to 8 hours to capture an image of an indigo bunting in with the sunflowers. And there was only a 15-day period that these sunflowers were in their prime bright yellow condition before the dryness dried them out. But people would sit for hours and came from all over. So it is a tourism driver. And then I'll just say from a Southwestern Public Health lens, we know that birds are a key component to controlling vector-borne diseases like West Nile virus. And so there is a holistic approach to birds in your community that provide a wide variety of benefits. So, and you've highlighted so many of them for us tonight. So I found it fascinating. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Counselor Lauder.
Thank you. I found this very informative, this report, and I just want to mention that I think that birding is a great therapy for a lot of people. And I know out at Sakura House, there's feeders, and it's just wonderful to see all the birds and them coming in the spring. And I think this is a great idea for our city. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'd just like to say thank you. This was very educational. The only question I really have is on one of the requirements. While I was reading it, requires us to have an event annually. So that was only my concern, is what kind of event is expected? Is this something that you would put on as an organization? I just unsure to put this on city staff as well. So that's really my question for you, is who would do this event and what kind of event would you have in mind?
Perfect. No, that's an excellent question. And lucky to us, Nature Canada provides a multitude of resources to host your World Migratory Bird Day event, as well as what other municipalities are doing. So what we've seen from other municipalities, it can stem anywhere from hosting an in-person event. Our bird committee, bird-friendly committee, would take on organizing it with the support of WEAC, bringing in someone to either speak to a particular bird topic. It can be an online event through your social media campaign, citizen science, which we've seen a lot of, spot a particular bird, spot a particular bird-friendly practice throughout the city. So there's lots of opportunity both in person and online to really, get the information out to the public. It would be something that we would take on as a bird team and with the resources provided to us through Nature Canada.
Okay, well, thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none? Okay, well, thank you.
That's great.
No resolution is required as this refers to special committee and advisory task force reports, item 15A, but I am going to suggest yeah, pulling this ahead if there's no objection from council. No objections, I assume. So if we go to 15A, that way it's quite a lengthy agenda tonight, so you don't have to wait around. Looking for a motion. Councillor Leatherbarrow?
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council approve WEAC's application for the city of Woodstock to become designated as bird-friendly by Nature Canada in partnership with the Bird Friendly Team Subcommittee.
Thank you. Councillor Tate, seconded. Any questions, comments? Councillor Shattenberg?
Just a comment, it's one of the things I have in my notes here that the Nature Canada had started out way back when as the Audubon Society of Canada. So people think, well, whatever happened to the Audubon Society? Well, it's now Nature Canada.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All those in favor? That is carried. And I would gladly write a letter of support on behalf of Woodstock for you to present with your application. Okay? Thank you. Thank you for coming out tonight. Thank everyone on the committee as well. That brings us to 8C. Moose Power Municipal Support Resolution for Rooftop Solar Project at 1000 Ridgeway Road. Mr. Elliott, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Your Worship, Mayor Choney and members of the council and staff. My name is Drew Elliott. I'm from Moose Power. We are Canadian. We're based out of Toronto. We are a developer of usually rooftop solar facilities. I'm here this evening on our behalf, but also on our partner's behalf, Dream Industrial. They're a very large real estate developer and owner of light commercial and light commercial industrial facilities across Canada. We would like to build a 2 megawatt solar project on the roof of one of their buildings, which is 1000 Ridgeway Road. This project is a few $1 million project. It would produce around 3,800 megawatt hours annually, which is about enough power for about 300 homes for the Woodstock area. So essentially, you know, the power goes where it's needed, so it'll be no doubt consumed locally. So we would like to do this project. In order for us to do this project, we need to secure a contract from the ISO. The ISO is the Independent Electrical System Operator, which is the provincial entity that's responsible for procuring new power projects. They are looking for submissions on October 16th. One of the requirements is that when we submit our bid, we also have a resolution from council in support of the submission. So essentially what I'm here looking for is support from municipality to submit the project. Doesn't mean that you know, we can go carte blanche and we don't need to go through the permitting process. All this is just a resolution form that allows us to submit our project, and if we secure it, we'll come back and go through the necessary permitting processes with the planning department. That's all I needed to say.
Okay, thank you. For those watching, of course, this is the Hino Trucks manufacturing plant, if anyone's curious. Any questions for Mr. Elliott? Yes, the only one I have, and I think I know the answer to this, but is it going to be visible from the road?
No.
At all?
No.
Yeah.
You know, there's quite a few of these around your community. Usually when we build one of these, we go for a building permit. But the ones you see on these buildings is what we're proposing. Yeah, you won't be able to see it from the road.
Drove by and I couldn't see the roof as it was, so I wouldn't.
Perfect. There you
expect
go.
so.
Yeah. So that's
Yes.
kind of what we're up to. So yeah, so I was working with Lisa Solomon. I don't know if she's here. She's been great with me. She's really helped along, but I'll work with her on the resolution.
Thank you. Any other questions? Counselor Schenberg.
Not sure if it's a question, Mayor Accioni or not, but maybe just more of a comment. People, for example, will drive down the countryside and they'll see what looks like large solar displays in farmland. And they'll sort of think, well, maybe that's not the best use of farmland.
I agree.
Is there a comparison you can make along that line between the other ways also of producing hydro, whether that be windmills or nuclear power as well, as far as the grid goes currently, and the necessity for more hydro in southwestern Ontario in particular?
Absolutely. It's remarkable. I was a wind power developer up until 2014, and I thought it would be a kind of a boom bust. You know, we put on the power and that would be enough for a very long time. And 10 years later, the amount of power that's required in this province due to data centers and electrifying homes, as well as EVs, is just remarkable. I don't believe solar should be in prime agriculture. In fact, it's not allowed. You see a lot of them now in Eastern Ontario where the land's just not as good as what you have here in Oxford County. So I would say moving forward, wind's always great. However, it could be an eyesore depending on how you see it. But there's also very neat modular technology coming from the nuclear side that's coming out maybe the next 10, 15 years. So for the meantime, it looks like solar and gas and some wind that will kind of fill that demand.
Thank you. Counselor Martin.
Thank you. Just a quick question through you. This is a fairly significant build out installment. What kind of length of time would it take to build this out, and what kind of skilled labor force will you be tapping into to bring this to fruition?
Remarkably, so we have about 5 years. So if we were to secure a contract, we have 5 years to get it on up and running. It'll take us about 8 months max to get something like this going. What we would do is bring in the panels by the container. We would be employing quite a few electricians within Woodstock to essentially plug and play. So they'll put out the racking, the racking system, and then they would add probably close to 5,000 panels, I believe, or something like this. So it's highly skilled, good labor, good paying labor, and yeah, it's about 8 month project.
Thank you. Anyone else? No, I think it's an excellent use of a rooftop.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's no question we all need more power. Something we hear constantly, even but from our manufacturers here. Demand for power has gone through the roof.
Absolutely.
So, anyone else before I call the vote? Or sorry, yeah, before I call a motion? My apologies. No, thank you very much.
Thank
You
you.
may switch. Yep. Looking for a motion on the floor. Counselor Tate?
I'll move that the Council of the Corporation of the City of Woodstock supports the submission of a proposal for the long-term energy project by Dream Industrial Canada Solar Inc. located on the municipal project lands located at 1000 Ridgewood Way, Woodstock. And further, that this resolution's sole purpose is to satisfy the mandatory requirements of Section 4.2 of the LT2 E-1 RFP and may not be used for the purpose of any other form of approval in relation to the proposal or long-term energy project or for any other purpose. And further, that Dream Industrial Canada Solar Inc. has undertaken or has committed to undertake Indigenous and community engagement activities in respect of the long-term energy project to the satisfaction of the municipality. And further, that the municipal project lands does not include lands designated as prime agricultural areas in the Oxford County's official plan. And further, that the clerk be directed to complete the necessary prescribed form as evidence of municipal support for a rooftop solar project at the municipal project lands as attached to item 8C, attachment 2 on the council agenda.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Counselor Martin? Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? That is carried. So we will supply you with whatever's required. Thank you. Next up, we do have consideration of planning report, but at this time, I'm going to ask Councillor Schenberg to come and take the chair.
Next on the agenda is item number 9A, ZN 8-25 08. Application for a zone change, 1474800 Ontario Inc. for 350 Van Sittert Avenue and also 360 Devonshire Avenue. First, we'll hear the report from the County of Oxford Planning Department. Mr. Miller.
Good evening, council, staff, members of the public. The subject lands are comprised of two properties legally described as Park Lot 3, Range 4N, Plan 10 in the city of Woodstock. The lands are located on the southeast corner of the intersection of Devonshire Avenue and Van Sittert Avenue, and on the south side of Devonshire Avenue, and are municipally known as 350 Van Sittert Avenue and 360 Devonshire Avenue. The subject lands are designated low-density residential in the county's official plan. They're currently zoned residential zone 1 and local commercial C1 in the city's zoning bylaw. The proposal is to rezone them to special local commercial zone C1 11. The purpose of the application for zone change is to facilitate the development of a new building containing a dentist's office and a smaller commercial unit. The applicant has consolidated two properties, one currently containing a dwelling and one currently containing a former automotive services business, to redevelop the site for the proposed use. The proposal appears to meet all the zone provisions of the C1 zone with the exception of the dentist's office. As well, the zone sets out limits in the commercial size, so we've included those in the bylaw to increase the permitted size of the local commercial use. It's the opinion of staff that the subject application is consistent with the PPS, as the proposal is located within a settlement area, efficiently uses land and infrastructure, and promotes economic development and competitiveness. Planning staff are also satisfied that the proposal maintains the intent and purpose of the official plan, respecting the neighborhood serving commercial uses within low-density residential areas. The proposed dentist's office will provide a medical service to the surrounding residents and broader community and will be clustered with an additional commercial use. Sidewalks exist to facilitate travel to the subject lands and pedestrian access. The proposal is located on arterial roads to minimize impacts on local streets, and no negative effects from the development on adjacent properties like noise, lighting, fumes, parking, outdoor storage are expected. Further, the official plan limits neighborhood serving uses to maximum gross leasable floor area of 930 square meters or about 10,000 square feet. The combined dentist's office and commercial unit are approximately 713.9 square meters and within the maximum limit envisioned by the official plan. That limits to protect residential areas from the impacts of commercial developments. Planning staff are satisfied that the proposal is consistent with the policies of the provincial planning statement and meets the general intent and purpose of the official plan. As such, staff are of the opinion that the applications have been given a favorable consideration, and staff recommend approval of the applications.
Are there any questions from council for Mr. Miller? Of course, this was discussed Monday night at the planning meeting, public planning meeting. We'll entertain a motion from the floor then. Councillor Leatherborough.
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council approve the application for lands described as part Park Lot 3, Plan 10, Range 4N in the city of Woodstock to rezone the subject lands from residential zone 1 R1 and local commercial zone C1 to special local commercial zone C1-11 to facilitate the development of a medical clinic on the subject lands. And further, that any comments received from the public were reviewed and considered before the decision was made in relation to this planning matter.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Martin. Any further questions or concerns at this time? We'll have a vote then. All those in favor? It's passed unanimously.
Thank you, Counselor Schoenberg. There's no consideration of correspondence this evening, but we do have presentation from staff and approved agents, of course. I'd like to welcome Ms. Lesky, Director of Human Resources, to the podium. Welcome. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. I'm here this evening to talk to you a little bit about our non-union compensation policy we've developed, as well as the market review that went along with the new policy. Oh. Okay, so as just as some background information, back in 2022, council has passed a motion directing staff to implement a salary administrative plan, including methodology, frequency for future use for market salary reviews. And in response to this motion, staff developed a salary administration policy. This policy is established, it establishes a comprehensive framework for administering the non-union compensation at the city, including job evaluation, salary progression, market competitiveness, and other salary-related practices. It reflects council's direction to formalize our compensation practices to ensure equity, consistency, and transparency across the organization. Some key elements of the policy: our commitment to conduct regular market reviews of our non-union positions every 3 years, which aligns with the best practices in the market, which are approximately every 3 to 4 years. We've also will propose for the policy that the city targets the 50th percentile of the Ontario Municipal Compensation Survey that is developed every year by Mercer. The 50th percentile puts us exactly in the middle kind of the pack. So we are not leading, we're not a leading employer in terms of compensation. However, we also want to prevent lagging behind the market. As you can imagine, lagging behind the market certainly creates challenges from a recruitment and retention perspective of staff. So in alignment with the provision of this policy, a review was completed this year, and the results will be presented to council. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about what a market review is. So a market review helps us understand how our salaries compare to other municipalities. It ensures that we stay competitive, fair, and compliant with legal standards like Pay Equity Act. A market review also evaluates the city's salaries against other comparators, ensuring competitive, fair compensation, and it also helps with attraction and retention of qualified employees. Key elements of a market review. There's a number of things that we look at. So benchmarking of jobs. We would look at like or similar jobs, grouping jobs in order to compare to other organizations. We also will use other comparable organizations. So for this purpose and for data collection, like I mentioned, we would use Mercer's Ontario Municipal Compensation Survey. Market positioning. So again, this is where the P50 comes in. P50, like I said, it's right in the middle of the road. We're not asking to lead the market. We're certainly asking just not to lag the market. Of course, part of that is internal versus an external alignment. So not only do we want to align to the market, we also want to ensure that our compensation is fair internally in terms of our positions, professional positions within the city. So why do we conduct a review? Again, I'm going to run through this because I think I've touched on a couple of these. Attraction and retention. So of course, again, high-performing staff are more likely to stay and to be able to attract to the city. It allows us to recruit skilled professionals, specifically in tight labor markets like we've experienced over the last couple of years, specifically in our IT, our engineering. We've also noticed that in our recreation departments. Maintaining pay equity compliance. So there is legislation that we have to be aware of and ensure that we have unbiased pay for work of equal value across genders and demographics. We're also looking at avoiding wage compression. So again, that speaks to that internal equity between positions and within the departments. And supporting workforce planning, having a robust system will allow human resources as well as our treasury department to not only plan effectively, but also budget effectively for some of these changes. Consequences of skipping a market review or just not having a formalized process would be a risk to talent retention, increased turnover. There are significant costs associated with frequent turnover, loss of institutional knowledge, and of course, engagement dropping off. Recruitment challenges, legal and pay equity, and of course, financial and operational. So again, we do notice and we do know that through higher turnover rates, the cost of recruitment, cost of training, cost of attaining that knowledge again can be quite significant and can be equivalent to at least a year's worth of salary for the position. Methodology. So I'm going to speak a little bit to the methodology. So again, the Ontario Municipal Survey that's used, that survey is an online report that's produced by Mercer. It is very objective. There's a lot of pertinent information, such as not just salaries, but hours employees work per week, whether it's a 35-hour or a 40-hour a week, so we can compare apples to apples. Of course, reporting structures, organizational structure, and things such as that. For this particular exercise, we focused on our permanent non-union roles. This is because our unionized roles are established and negotiated through the collective bargaining process. So we're not able to open that up before the contract ends. Both of our QP inside and outside collective agreements currently expire at the end of 2026, at which time we will certainly have that opportunity to discuss any potential wages as you would in any other collective bargaining process. Again, assessing at the median salaries, and I will also say this is a municipality weighted average. Again, so we're trying to really make the information relevant to our organization, which obviously is a municipality. And then review gaps, overlaps, and any compression. A summary of key findings of the review this year. We have noticed that some of our professional as well as leadership roles were anywhere between 18 and 35% below the OMCS, which is the Ontario Municipal Survey, and it was below the P50 mark. So that was significantly low, I would say. It also is important to note that the information we're using for the OMCS is from 2024 data, and we compare it to our 2025 wages. So that further creates a little bit of lag. Compression was observed between some of our existing bands, so we did some work to address that as well. We had outdated structures that needed recalibration, so that was also part of that process. And we did find a little bit of inequity across roles of similar scope, complexity, and responsibility that was slightly different in pay. So we try to address some of those concerns. And of course, addressing pay equity is critical to ensuring organizational resilience and competitiveness, as well as complying with the Act. So next, what you see is, again, just a high-level summary of some of the findings. What you see on this chart is a grouping of positions on the left. This is not titles, this is simply grouping of positions. The titles could be several different ones within that group. Then you see the 2025 band max, the 2024 P50 OMCS, and then in the red and green, you have the percent differential. So from our wages to the survey's 2024 wages. And at the very far right, our proposed new band maximums. So all of the exercise that was done on the band maximum. This does not mean every employee is at the maximum. All of our bands have a range, and depending on when folks get hired and how long they've been here, they could be somewhere on that structure. So for the purpose of ease of communicating this, we focus just on the maximums because that's where eventually employees could potentially get to. So again, these are some of the results. So I'm going to get into costing next and proposed implementation. So if approved, the results of the 25 compensation review would be implemented in a manner that is fair, transparent, and really we focused on principle of affordability. With that in mind, the policy and Council's 22 directive adjustments would be applied consistently across eligible non-union positions over approximately a 5-year span. This would, again, the phased-in implementation would ensure that the city can manage our budget impacts prudently while upholding its commitment to equitable compensation. The strategy balances our sustainability with the need to attract, retain, and motivate our staff, and then, of course, reinforcing the values of fairness and accountability. And lastly, for the costing, what we would look at from an implementation perspective is employees who would be eligible. So again, this would not be every employee at the exact same rate. Could potentially receive up to a 5% increase on, I believe we're planning to implement October 13th of this year. And then each January 1st after that until they reach top of the band. So again, no one would be able to exceed that, but they would be able to move through that band, which is similar to what we do now. So that practice, we're not proposing to change that. So like I said, no employee shall exceed the established band, and the 2025 estimated impact would be $59,453, and that would be covered through salary and benefit reserve. And then, of course, any other changes we would bring to council with each operational budget cycle. But I did highlight some of the cost on the sheet just so we can get an idea. So for 26, it would be our biggest hit, again in 27, and it really drops off in 28 and 29. Okay.
Thank you, Director Lesky. Any questions? Counselor Tate?
Through the chair. Just a couple of questions. Well, first comment, this is long overdue, so glad you're in the position now that this is getting done. And just for the public's benefit, when we have high turnover, it actually costs us. So if we don't have somebody getting paid the right amount compared to another city, we lose them. And so the cost of training and rehiring is a huge cost to municipality. Just the one question though on unionized, so understand that their increases are negotiated throughout the year, but is there going to be the same market analysis for the union positions also at some point once this is done?
Through Mayor, Councillor Tate, we would be very open to doing that. Again, that is something that would have to agree with the union. As an employer, we cannot unilaterally introduce that exercise. However, we could certainly work with the union and agree to perform the same exercise. The survey does include not just non-union professional administrative positions. Certainly, there are positions outside, for example, or any other positions that are captured in this survey. So we could.
Counselor Martin?
Thank you, Mayor Accioni. I just want to follow up on what Councillor Tate said, that this is long overdue. Are you aware of an attempt over the last, I don't know, 4, 6, 8, 10 years to try and close this gap? Has this have staff and council tried to address this in the past, or how did we get here? How did we fall so far behind?
Through Mayor, Councillor Martin. Again, so being here fairly shortly since about January of this year, looking at some background information, I was certainly able to pull some data with regards to compensation surveys. I believe the latest was around 21, 22, and I believe that's where maybe the motion came from as well in 2022. Again, there are different ways of, number one, doing a market review. There's different ways of what positions you use, how do you structure your compensation review. In my experience, the Ontario Municipal Survey is one of the better avenues. You get very robust data in the system, but you also get a lot of averages. So for example, you can compare whether you're comparing your size of the organization, whether you're looking at staffing, et cetera. Those surveys tend to include a lot of that information. So you get a good representation. I believe the last time it was a slightly different way. It was a little bit more manual, as in an established survey was not utilized. It was more so reaching out to comparator municipalities to answer some questions, which sometimes can lead to not receiving information I have done that process as well. And sometimes you're not able to just get that information even if you're asking. So you're working with a very limited data set versus here you have a very large, very robust data set.
And then a quick follow-up. So this is for a non-union compensation. Just to clarify, before the social media world goes abuzz, council is not included in this market review at all. This is not impacting this room
Yeah.
of counselors, correct?
Yes, that is correct. I can confirm this is only for staff, administrative non-union staff. This exercise does not include members of council or mayor or our unionized staff as well. So this is only for our administration.
Thank you for making that clarification as well. Anyone else? I'd also like to say thank you. This was a very excellent report. Mercer does certainly seem to know what is being brought forward, what is being done outside. We do want to make sure we're competitive, equitable, and aligned with industry standards. We need to attract and retain key personnel, and this is certainly important to do that. So thank you.
Thank you.
No resolution is required as this does refer to Department Report Item 14H1. We can bring that forward if there's no objection by council. Seeing none, I will look for a motion. Councillor Tate.
I'll move that Woodstock City Council approves policy HR 009, salary administration policy, and further that City Council approves the phased-in approach of the 2025 non-union compensation market review, and further that City Council approves the 59,453 from the salary and benefit reserve to fund the implementation for 2025.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Lauder. Any further discussions, questions? Councillor Tate.
Yeah, just a comment again, and I think, I appreciate the answer that we got, why we got behind and what happened. I think when it was done the last time, we were already behind by the time we implemented it because we were so far behind. So just as an example for the public, our deputy clerk position has had a huge turnover. And as I said before, we're hoping that Mr. Bunn does not leave us again. And the reason is we've got great deputy clerks and they are able to move to other municipalities because the pay is quite high in other municipalities and half the duties. So why wouldn't somebody leave? So I think this is really, really important for anybody looking for a job in management and administration with the city, knowing that we're going to be competitive. So it helps with succession planning. So once you get into the system and you're with the city, then you are more apt to stay. And we all know if you're happy at your job and productive, it's worth the money that we pay out. And just a comment, this is nothing to do with the mayor, but the strong mayor powers are going to be very, very difficult. As we know, every municipality with over 5 is now a strong mayor. And it's going to be very, very difficult to attract CAOs because they're basically going to be a chief of staff, and it's going to be, some municipalities will have a problem because the mayor can fire the CAO or hire. So coming in, you have a change in election, the mayor's hired the CAO, the next mayor may not. So I don't think it matters what you're going to pay. It's never going to be enough because it's going to be really difficult to recruit for that. That's it.
Yeah, thank you. And I will actually agree with Councillor Tate. I do think that puts a challenge in our system of attracting and retaining key personnel, especially somebody as important as the CAO in any organization. And do hope that we are attracting the right personnel here in the city of Woodstock moving forward. Councillor Lauder.
Thank you. I totally agree with what Councillor Tate has said, and I think this is long overdue, and I'm glad that it has come forward. So thank you.
Councillor Martin.
Thank you. Just to follow up on the phrase long overdue, I feel like this is the right step to take. I feel that it is unfortunate that this council is having to make this very difficult decision and costly decision because we got behind. This council did not get us behind. It is a long, overdue process. But to be able to catch up within 5 years, I think is appropriate and ambitious. The 2026 impact is going to be pretty significant, $241,000 and change, which is about 1/3% on our levy. So we're going to have to sharpen our pencils at budget time, and we're going to have to figure out how do we move forward fiscally responsible with this city while still seeking to achieve this goal of fair payment for work for our existing workforce.
Yes, and I'll just add, I think it's far more expensive to go through staff, as was mentioned, than paying them right from the first time and keeping them. Counselor Tate.
Just to the chair, just a comment. So it's not council's fault, previous ones that we got behind. We had a big change in HR. So that's why the report should have came and it did not. So council doesn't direct HR to do this. HR brings the report forward. So until HR brings it, we don't know. But because we've had that lapse and now we have proper HR, that we are getting it. So just for the public's benefit, it's not the previous councils. I don't want to put it on them. It was, we had a big change in staff.
Yes, actually, for those watching, previous council did request this back in 2021, I believe that was. And of course, because of that change over in staff is what happened. Anyone else before I call the vote? We did read it, right? We got first and second, or sorry. All those in favor? That is carried. No mayor's report, no counselor report, but we do have department reports. So from administrative services, 14A1, delegation of authority to cancel, reduce, or refund taxes in accordance with section 357 and 358 of the Municipal Act. Counselor Lauder.
Thank you. I'll move that Woodstock City Council refer the report regarding delegation of authority to cancel, reduce, or refund taxes in accordance with section 357 and 358 of the Municipal Act 2001 to the bylaw section of the agenda. And further, that city policy GA 017 delegation of powers and duties be updated accordingly.
Thank you. Second by Counselor Schattenberg. Discussion or questions? Seeing none, I just add that I think this is another great way to get rid of some more red tape, keep it in-house, and those that may not agree with whatever the assessment is going forward will still have the opportunity to go through the review board through MPAC. Anything further before I call a vote? All those in favor? None opposed, that's carried. From engineering, 14B1 Middlesex Connect request for funding. Looking for a motion, Counselor Tate.
I'll move that Woodstock City Council direct staff to decline participation in the Middlesex County Connect OTIF cost sharing model.
Thank you. Is there a seconder on that? Counselor Schattenberg, discussions or questions? Counselor Martin?
Is it on? Okay, there we go. I just, the first and second didn't want to, didn't have a comment, so I'll jump in. I just want to say that I appreciate that staff took a look at this. Obviously, it was a request and required to take a look at it, but a lot of analysis went into the recommendation. I'm a little perplexed at how Middlesex ended up being approved for their OTIF application without having gone through this process prior to their submission. And then without support, I would suspect that their second, third, and fourth year funding will be in jeopardy, but that's not my circus. I strongly believe in intercommunity transit. I have some challenges with what was put in front of us and how it was to be funded over the, I can't remember, it's 4-year or 5-year period. I believe that intercommunity transit does benefit Woodstock. However, the dollar amount that we were requesting for one route did seem to be significantly over and above what was reasonable. So my thanks to staff for bringing this forward to us and for the recommendation.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, though I do like the idea, and it's something I do hear about on a regular basis on inter-community, again, at the cost of, it averaged in the report $55 to $109 per rider. This does just seem to be quite expensive without any assurances of what timeline, how often in a day, what other stops, as other municipalities have turned this down already since this is being brought to us today. So there's so many unknowns that I also agree. Counselor Martin?
Sorry, a follow-up question that just occurred to me for staff. Was there any discussion with Middlesex Connect or Middlesex County on their system on why they came to the large urban municipalities and not to the rural communities in between stop points, or sorry, in between the urban points? Because if they have gone to the smaller municipalities, that would have allowed those municipalities to tap into the gas tax program. We're already tapped into it. We can't get more from it. Was there any discussion on why, the rationale on why they came to the large urbans rather than to the rurals?
Your worship, through the counselor, unfortunately, I don't know the answer to that. The person who was connected with the city staff who was connected with Middlesex Connect is no longer with the city. So I'm not sure if the development commissioner might know some more history there.
Your worship, through to the question, Harold, that's the first time you've called me that, and I like the sounds of that. Anyway, yeah, my understanding is the request went to those municipalities that had a stop in them. So Ingersoll had a similar request about a week ago or a week ago Monday. They opted to turn it down. Putnam was a stop on our route number 2. I believe they're covered under Middlesex County. So in the case of Oxford County, that the county deferred to the lower tiers, which I think was appropriate. We're a transit operator, so this is how the ask came to us.
But there's also a stop at Beachville. There's also a stop, like there's multiple stops along the way in between the major points. And so that would be Squawks, that would be, right? Like,
Is there a stop in Beachville? I'm sorry, I'm not familiar.
Yeah.
Okay, so I knew there
there's a
was
stop on Beachville Road, somewhere between Woodstock and Ingersoll.
the main stops, I guess, on our route were Fanshawe College, Dorchester, or Town Center, as they call it now, Putnam, Ingersoll, and then we were the end of the line. So
Okay, I'm
According
just
to the
curious.
report, that's all the stops that were provided to us.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor Schanberg?
I think we all had certainly concerns and worries about this ask. One of the ones that a lot of it was pushed forward to year number 5, which is 2029 and 2030. So that's almost beyond the next term of council to be able to start worrying about dollars and cents and how much money was going to be sent from municipalities. But my concern also was, why would the municipalities, whether it be Middlesex or Oxford County, go into competition with private industry to some degree? Because the Flixbus, for example, there's two different stops in London, and you can go from Woodstock, our bus depot, Yonge Street, to two different stops in London for $13.95, and that seems to be a reasonable amount of money. Of course, from there you'd have to jump on a city transit in London to be able to get to where you're going, but there is a bus service already available to London.
Yes, thank you. Anyone else before I call the vote? All those in favor? That is carried. Nothing from cultural services, but we do have Parks and Recreation this evening. 14D1 brings us to Civic Arena. Looking for a motion? Counselor Leatherborough.
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council receives the report regarding Civic Arena as information.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder on that? Counselor Tate? Discussions or questions? Counselor Schanberg?
may evolve into a question, but this maybe just a comment to begin with. And I know quite a bit of the history of the Civic Center Arena, being that it was built in 1970, and I've been on the Recreation Advisory Committee for, well, back to the 1900s. But anyway, I have been back to the 1900s. I just wanted to sort of state that one of the comments or concerns about creating such a system is to be able to go towards our capital planning when we start going through that budgeting. And really, quite frankly, that's basically less than 2 months away from now when we start as a council, start looking at a capital budget to kind of think, well, how much money do we have to put into the Civic Center arena? And what would be the timetable for construction for any kind of a renovation or improvement there, whether it be the concrete floor, et cetera, because even if you did it in the summertime, we've got user groups that use the Civic Center arena in the summertime for sports like ball hockey. Not to say that that couldn't be temporarily moved over to the Reeves Community Complex. So maybe my question would be to the Director of Parks and Recreation, Brian Connors, to maybe explain how the timing might be, or specifically what kind of a report we might get to council at capital planning time in November.
Your worship, through to the councillor's question. We certainly would be planning around the hockey season. So we would try the months, especially the summer, to do that and to be able to move anything that's there to try to accommodate them elsewhere, to have as little interruption as possible.
I think one of the things the general public might want to know is as a bit of a follow-up as to the city of Woodstock's land ownership or ownership of the property that the Civic Center Arena is on. What of that kind of information are you able to share, Mr. Connors? Because it's one of those things that becomes part of the overall picture when you start talking about building a twin pad arena at Cowan Fields.
Your worship, through to the councillor's question. There was a report in November 2019 regarding the Civic Center and the direction to move it to Cowan Fields. And one of the rationales behind that was just the land around the Civic Center. We own the Civic Center itself and some of the parking areas, generally the parking that's paved. The Ag Society owns the rest, and there is a dump site right there too. So that also precludes kind of expansion in that area. And that's why when the consultants came in to look at our rec facility needs study in 2015 and in 2021, they recommended Cowan Fields as the site for expansion.
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
Thank you. I have two questions for Mr. Connors. The first one, in the report, it indicates, as a caveat, this report was written the day before ICE startup. So I'm curious, when staff went to stick the key in the ignition and turn it, did it work? And is ICE making progressing for this season?
Your worship, through to the councillor's question, there was one small hiccup, but staff was able to mitigate that quite quickly. And they are making ice as we speak. So that is continuing, and there doesn't seem to be a problem.
Then as a follow-up, the report also indicates that this arena has reached, and the ice making facilities have reached end of life or near end of life. But we didn't just learn this in this report. How many times has this been brought forward, or have red flags been raised about issues at this facility over the last couple of years?
Your worship, through to the councillor's question, Civic has come up in the 2015 rec facility needs study, the November 2019, and that really discussed principally where another pad would go. So that was certainly covered in the background as far as it's starting to age out. 2021, it was also covered in the facility needs study. And obviously in the 2024 North Woodstock Rec Facility Study. We also received the building condition assessment from Asset Management. That came and that gave us a very fulsome picture of Civic with costing and timelines. But that came out in 2024, in November 2024. So that was really the kind of the final piece. Operations staff have put up flags, certainly that we are starting to age out. And one of the reasons why we're coming forward with this, these funds is we're treating this very differently than a Lions Pool. And I know a lot gets compared to the two. Lions Pool, we always had the ability to take the entirety of that program in the summer and move it in to our indoor aquatic facility without missing a beat. In aquatics, in Woodstock, the summertime, we have the most access to water. That's the least busy time for all our seasons. With ice, we don't have that luxury. We lose one of our 3 pads, and we are into 1/3 of our ice users being affected, and a lot of schedule changes. So it really would be a very different scenario. So we have to treat it a little more conservatively than what we would when we were treating Lions, because as decisions were being either deferred or not, or we're looking at a different location, we did not put the money into that facility to keep it going, just because we had that backstop of another place for water. Here, that is not the case.
Thank you. Counselor Tate.
Through the chair to Mr. Connors. So just a question for the benefit to the public. How much would we are looking at for a new ice pad, a double ice pad?
Your worship, through to the counselor's question, for a double ice pad, and this is based on the North Woodstock Recreation Facility study, it came in at 53, approximately 53 million. That's for a double. So yeah, that would be a double ice pad. That wouldn't include like lobby or anything like that. And that is actually in 24 year numbers.
So through the chair, just a couple comments. So I think the public needs to be aware the amount of money we were talking about. I know my son came home one day and said, somebody said, oh, we're getting a new ice pad. And I was like, where's the money coming from? And the person said, well, the city has the money. No, we don't. We don't have any money. We don't have any put aside. We go directly to the taxpayer. So just, I'm glad you commented on the asset management report that we got in 2024, because a couple of us around the table have been stressing that is a really important document. And so we need to concentrate our spending. And now we know that this needs money to keep it going, because we don't have $53 million for a new one. We need to stop spending in certain areas and look at the asset management report. So I'm really thankful that was done. And as I said before, that is probably the most important document that we have around this table. And that's what we should be paying attention to at budget. So knowing we have this, and then with this report, we have to look after what we have. And because we don't have the money for brand new shiny, because that goes directly on the taxpayer and they cannot withstand these increases. So thank you very much for the report.
Thank you. Anyone else? Counselor Sandberg.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank Darren Hall for being present tonight. He's the manager of both the Civic Center Arena and of course the Reeves Community Complex. But since we're specifically talking about the Civic Center Arena, and I know there was a condition issue with the well, let's call it the concrete floor, but there's no issue with the brine pipes or anything that do go along with that. But there is a percentage of the floor at the Civic Center Arena that is now a sand floor instead of a concrete floor, just to be able to clarify some of that information for for the public that might want to know maybe what the overall condition of that rink is.
Your worship, through to the councillor's question, the floor is it is 55 years old. And it has been through some mitigation, and it is in need of further work. Right now, it is still operating, but we don't want to be in a situation where it stops mid-season operating with a major leak, and then we are at a closure. And these closures will not be short. So we're trying to prevent that type of issue from occurring.
Thank you. Anyone else? Well, I'd like to thank for some of the questions that were asked and to Director Connors for that explanation of the difference between Lions Pool and Civic, because that is what a lot of people have come to and have been asking since the report has come out. And I've been saying that they are fundamentally completely different because of the level of use. If the Civic Center went down, it would be catastrophic. It would definitely be different without a third ice rink. With well, we were in AMO earlier this year, and we've made the official ask now, of course, for any provincial grants. We did go with an $85 million whole picture of pool included with gymnasium and 2 ice pads. We can be in a significant price tag with this. So the planning certainly has to come now. Since 2019 and 2021, when those last surveys were done, it's been clear the demand for ice has continued to rise. And that 4th ice pad is needed soon, very soon, with the population growth we're having. So with that, any other further questions or comments before I call the vote? All those in favor? That is carried. Again, for those watching at home, what we moved was for information tonight. It is an information piece. We will be touching on this more in the budget. From the clerk's department. Is that right? Yes. 14F1 Municipal Code Chapter 628 Refreshment Vehicles. Councillor Leatherborough.
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council refer the report regarding Municipal Code Chapter 628 refreshment vehicles to the bylaw section of the agenda.
Do we have a seconder on that? Councillor Martin? Discussion or questions? I'll just say that this was quite interesting. This was another really good read of what exactly goes on with our refreshment vehicles, or food trucks as most of us call them or go by. We certainly welcome more here in the city, and I like what staff is proposing about bringing more into our parks in a first come, first served basis. So if you do have a refreshment vehicle or food truck, please take note of this, pay attention and watch for the changes coming. With that, any other questions or comments? Councillor Tate?
Just for this chair, you mentioned that, so our wonderful taco truck. People are here and we do appreciate having the options.
Yes, I was certainly going to thank you for being here tonight beforehand, but anything further? All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. That brings us to 14F2, pre-budget approval request for hiring temporary election coordinators for the 2026 municipal and school board election. Looking for a motion, Councillor Schanberg.
I make a motion that Woodstock City Council approve the hiring of 2 contract election coordinators for 2026 and further the funds be drawn from the election reserve.
Thank you. Second by Counselor Lauder. Discussion or questions? Counselor Schoenberg.
I guess I should address this question to our deputy clerk, Jeff Bunn here this evening. I'm not sure if you're officially the returning officer for the 2026 election or not, or if it's still Ms. Humphreys, but give us an idea as to what the timetable is going to be and why the necessity of two election officers for the upcoming 2026 election.
Absolutely. So through you, your worship, I believe I will be the returning officer. I think that's the plan. As you're aware, the election's a big major undertaking for the city. It generally does impact the clerk's office quite significantly in our ability to provide services aside from the election in an election year. The onset of having online elections also poses a new adventure for the clerk's office, I'll call it. And with that comes the requirement of policies and procedures that need to go into ensuring that the election is executed in a fair, democratic, and accessible way. Generally speaking, we would look for one coordinator as we did in the past election, but with that onset, we're of the opinion that we're going to be seeing a lot more of that work having to be undertaken in addition to what we normally would do for an election. So it's really the onset of the hybrid election that would necessitate the need for the two positions.
Continue.
As a follow-up, would there be any difference whatsoever if there's not, heaven forbid, not school board elections for trustees?
Through your worship, it's a good question. The answer is really no. It doesn't really matter in terms of the number of offices that are be elected. Of course, we do produce material for school board trustee candidates. So there is specific documents that we will provide for them. But in reality, it's all the same. It's all the same across council and trustee.
Good question. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All those in favor? That is carried. Of course, excited to see hybrid voting here in the city of Woodstock. 14F3, proposed amendments to municipal code, chapter 11 and 16 relating to the duties of the deputy mayor position. Councillor Lauder.
I'll move that Woodstock City Council refer the report regarding the proposed amendments to the municipal code chapters 11 and 16 relating to the duties of the deputy mayor position to the bylaw section of the agenda.
Thank you. Second by Councillor Tate. Discussion or questions? Councillor Lauder.
I'll just make the comment since I was the one that brought this forward. I'm glad to see this report here and the explanation of the changes that have to be made. So, thank you.
Yes, thank you. And for those watching at home that didn't see it previously, of course, the deputy mayor position will be one of the city county councilor positions. So we're not adding a position. And this position will be for the entire term of council. Heaven forbid something happens to a future mayor. In my opinion, I think with the insight of city and county information, that person would be able to go in that role for whatever time frame needed in order to have less impact on the city of Woodstock business. With that, any other questions or comments before I call the vote? Councillor Schoenberg.
I apologize for asking a question. Maybe a question towards Mr. Bunn one more time. We now currently have a fourth person that goes in if somebody's not available to go to the county council meeting due to illness or prior commitments or whatever. Would that still be somebody that's assigned from the other positions then to be able to continue that role?
Through your worship, yes, that's the case still. Council will be appointing another person.
Of course, that position is the alternate who Councillor Lauder is for this past term. Okay. Anything else before I call the vote? All those in favor? That is carried. From the Chief Administrative Officer's Office, 14G1, update on planning for the city's 125th anniversary. Counselor Leatherborough.
There we go, sorry. Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council receive the update on the planning for the 125th anniversary report as information.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Counselor Martin, discussion or questions? Well, I think for those watching, this next year is going to be an exciting year for 125th. On July 1st, 1901, there was approximately 9,000 people here in the then newly formed city of Woodstock. But the city or the town of Woodstock was formed in January 1st, 1851, with 2,112 people in it. So I found some good history here, and for those trivia monsters, there's some good information if you're heading out. Counselor Martin.
Anecdotal to add to that, I have a map, a historical map of Oxford County. The city of Woodstock, or the town of Woodstock, is the same size as Embro.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, absolutely. Anyone else before I call the vote? All those in favor? That is carried. Of course, if you've been watching along, we did move ahead Human Resources Report 14H1 that did pass. Nothing from Fire Services, nothing from Public Works or IT. We did pull ahead 15A, the Bird Friendly City designation from Special Committee Advisory Task Force reports. And that brings us to item number 16, Notice of Motion. Councillor Schanberg.
Yeah, I'll just read it to get on the record. Whereas in April 2025, council received a presentation by MHBC and JPM Architecture, Inc., outlining the conceptual plan for the Woodstock Civic Square and City Hall expansion. And whereas the estimated cost for the conceptual plan for the City Hall expansion is $23.7 million. And whereas for planning purposes, the proposed Civic Square is currently identified in the capital budget forecast for 2027 and the City Hall expansion for 2028, with both projects to be considered as part of the annual budget process. Now therefore be it resolved that Woodstock City Council directs staff to prepare a report outlining potential options to reduce the scope and associated costs of the proposed City Hall expansion project, and further that this report should include but not be limited to the feasibility of repurposing the existing council chambers for office use, and also relocating Woodstock City Council meetings to the Oxford County Council chambers.
Thank you. This motion is only read, not debated tonight. It will be on our October 2nd council agenda. And that brings us to new business. 17A, Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Accioni. Moved by myself, whereas the Municipal Elections Act requires all individuals wishing to be a candidate in a municipal or school board election to file nomination paper Form 1 with the municipal clerk. And whereas the Municipal Election Act requires all candidates who sought election to a municipal council or school board to file financial statement, auditor's report candidate Form 4 with the municipal clerk. And whereas Form 1 requires candidates to provide their qualifying address, and whereas Form 4 requires candidates to list the name and home address of any donor contributing over $100, and whereas the Municipal Election Act specifies that these documents are not protected under the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, and requires the municipal clerk to make Form 4 available on a website. And whereas there has been concern expressed about those who hold public office and those who support them, that they have been subject to unnecessary attention and excessive scrutiny. And whereas the requirement to publish a personal home address of donors to specific candidates may discourage individuals from engaging in the democratic process to elect municipal and school board politicians. Now therefore be it resolved that the Woodstock City Council calls on the Honorable Rob Flack, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing for the Government of Ontario to protect the privacy of candidates and donors by removing the requirement for their street name, number, and postal code to be listed on publicly available forms, and further that for verification purposes, the addresses of all candidates and all donors over $100 be submitted to the municipal clerk on separate forms that are protected by the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act and will not be published. And further that this resolution be forwarded to the area area members of Provincial Parliament, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, the Association of Municipal Clerks and Treasurers of Ontario, the Ontario Public School Boards Association, the Ontario Catholic School Trustees Association, and all Ontario municipalities.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Leatherborough? Discussion? Would you like to speak to your motion, Councillor Martin?
Yeah, thank you. Just by way of background, how did this come about? Several weeks ago, probably 2 months ago, I had a query from a local resident who was considering, is considering running for council next year. And they had questions about the job, about the responsibilities, the amount of time that we put in. But then when we got talking about the actual candidate process, they expressed some concern over sharing their personal information, residence, phone number, email address, and to the point that it really backed them away from even being curious about running. And in that conversation, I indicated that that was very interesting because I had just read an article, the Canadian Municipal Barometer put out an article indicating that now they interviewed 1,633 elected officials, and 63% of respondents indicated that they had had some form of harassment. And that harassment varies from in-person insults, 42% said yes, online insults, not shocking, 57%, threats of harm, 19% of people said yes, they had received threats of harm, property damage, yes, 13% had experienced that, 28.9% had experienced some form of harassment, and 1.7% had actually experienced a physical attack. So in consultation, so then we went to AMO and had conversations with numerous elected officials, and almost every person I talked to either had experienced some form of harassment or unwanted attention, or knew of someone on their council who had experienced harassment, a threat, or unwanted attention. And so when we came back from AMO, I had planned to ask this question of Minister Flack in the, it's called the Ministers Forum, or lovingly called the Bear Pit. But unfortunately, the Minister of MMAH doesn't participate in the Bear Pit. He speaks right before it, and then because he wouldn't naturally get the most questions, does not participate in the Bear Pit. So came home, continued conversations, had some conversations with staff, had a conversation with an OPP officer, and they highly suggested that every single councillor, regardless of past, present threats, should have a home security system with a street-facing camera. And I took that quite seriously, that would be a police recommendation. We do know that some cities have gone to the extent that they actually pay for home security for councillors out of their municipal budget because of ongoing threats. And of course, AMCTO has continued to do work on this. So I thought that because it has zero financial implication to us as a council, we could take a look at asking the Minister Flack, to make some relatively simple changes to the Municipal Election Act that would increase privacy and hopefully increase the safety and security of councillors, because the trend is going up. That 63% is increasing, not decreasing. And pardon me, I'm out of breath. Those are the reasons why I brought the motion forward.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Tate?
Through the chair, I will not be supporting the motion. And I can comment through personal experience. We've had very difficult council meetings. We've had to have the police here for some meetings. Councillor Lauder, I believe, was on council at the time. That's part of public office. Nobody's ever going to agree with you. All kinds of attacks on social media. People yelled at me before in person. It's part of the job. That's what happens when you take public office, and I think it's really important you be as transparent as possible. And as I said to somebody else, we have phone books that had everybody's address on. If somebody wants to find your address, it takes 2 seconds to put the name in and get it. As for the donors, I've never had anybody complain, and I think it's really important for transparency that the public sees who is donating to who, if they want to know, and where from, because they don't have to be from Woodstock, or federally, they don't have to be from Oxford, same provincially. I talked to some federal people in provincial. They couldn't see this going anywhere because nobody wants to look like they're hiding. Uh, I do understand that there are sometimes, I know somebody put on social media a comment, go to my address to do stuff. I'm used to it. It's part of the job. So I've actually had no physical, but I think it's really important that we are as transparent as possible. And as I said, when you decide to run for public office, you take the good with the bad. And you are never going to have everybody agree with you, as we see all the time. And some harassment comes from places that you never expect it to. So, and I think it's important that we are open to the public. That's, I think the number one complaint would be that they don't see enough, and that and politicians are not transparent. So to me, this would look like we're doing one more step to hide stuff from the public. And honestly, you just have to put somebody's name in and you get their address. And if they want to attack you, they're going to go to wherever they want to go. They want to go to a council meeting, they want to go to an event. So I just believe in transparency, and I can't support the motion. And honestly, I don't think the province is going to do anything with it.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'm going to add that I agree with Councillor Tate actually on this one. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be supporting this because of that transparency piece. I think anytime we withhold information of any sort, there's always going to be questions. I think if somebody wants to support a future counselor or mayor in the future, I think if they're not willing to be able to be public about that, then I'm not really sure why they would want to do it. I do understand safety concerns, and I certainly understand the jobs we all do are not popular. None of us are sitting here because of popularity contests. This is far from that job. And again, I don't see how we can ask staff, if this were ever to be successful, that the need would be that high to put even more workload or burden on staff to be able to go through and now have to black out information and put different forms in and everything else. And I just don't see I don't see the need is here at this point in the state of the city of Woodstock. With that, any other comment or questions before I call the vote? Councillor Lauder.
I won't be voting in favor of this either. When it was mentioned that a candidate is concerned about their email address and their phone number being out there, how would they be able to converse with anyone that wanted to talk to them about an issue? So I think it's important for transparency, and I won't be voting in favor of this.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, then I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Against? That motion fails. 4-2. And that brings us to draft bylaws. And because of the declarations of indirect pecuniary interest, I'm going to excuse myself and ask Councillor Schanberg to come forward for one of the bylaws, and then we'll jump into the rest.
For draft bylaws, Councillor Lauder.
Thank you. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Leatherborough, that the following bylaw be given first and second reading. 9773-25, a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 8626-10 as amended. ZN 8-2509-350 Vansittart Ave /360 Devonshire Ave.
All those in favor? Again, Councillor Lauder.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Martin, that the following bylaw be given third and final reading, 9773-25.
Any comments or concerns? All those in favor? And it's passed.
Thank you again, Councillor Schoenberg. If you're looking for a motion, Councillor Lauder.
Thank you. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Tate. That the following bylaws be given first and second reading. 9774-25, a bylaw to amend the City of Woodstock Municipal Code 628 of refreshment vehicles. 9775-25, a bylaw to provide for the delegation of powers and duties by council in order to authorize the treasurer to cancel, reduce, or refund taxes in accordance with sections 357 and 358 of the Municipal Act 2001 on behalf of the City of Woodstock. 9776-25, a bylaw to amend the City of Woodstock Municipal Code Chapter 16 procedure. 9777-25, a bylaw to appeal and replace the City of Woodstock Municipal Code Chapter 11, Mayor and Acting Selection.
Thank you. Any questions on those? Seeing none, all those in favor? Those are carried. Councillor Lauder.
Moved by myself and second by Councillor Martin, that the following bylaws be given a third and final reading. 9774-25, 9775-25, 9776-25, and 9777-25.
Thank you. Last chance. Any questions or concerns? All those in favor? And those are carried. And tonight, that brings us to questions and addresses. We're going to start in the middle. Councillor Martin.
I don't have a whole lot to say tonight other than just to recognize the flags across the street are at half-mast. Former director of, recently retired director of corporate services passed away yesterday. And I just appreciate the relationship that I was able to have with her, the working relationship, sharing of knowledge, open, safe space, sharing of questions and concerns. She was a person who did the work of 4 people and very difficult shoes to fill and a significant loss for our community. So.
Yes, well said. Councillor Lauder.
Thank you. There's still a few tickets left for the Taste of Art on Saturday night. Sorry, I can't make it because I have a family wedding to go to, but it's always a great night. And so if anyone's available, hopefully you can attend. And today I was helped out at the Southgate golf tournament in Ingersoll. It was a great success and they had a hot day, so should have had lots of fun. And I just want to pass on my condolences to the Buckner family. Lynn was a dedicated county employee, and when I kind of semi-retired from here, I ended up, Tilsonburg had asked if I would come down there to work a couple of days a week, which I did. And Lynn was the one who interviewed me. So I have great respect for Ms. Buckner. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Counselor Leatherborough.
So I'm on the City of Woodstock website, and it says Fall into Fun at Fall Fest, which is coming to Museum Square Saturday, October 4th from 12 to 5. The list of fun is long: trunk or treat, pumpkin carving contest, Halloween dog parade, lots of scheduling for the main stage, family activities, downtown farm tour, haunted jail tours. And the BIA is doing a little special collaborations of apples in the core. So enjoy a taste of fall with delicious apple-themed items at participating downtown businesses. Go to the Downtown Woodstock BIA's website to vote for your favorite apple treat from October 4th all the way until the 31st. And the winner will be announced at the lighting of Museum Square on November 14th.
Excellent. Thank you. Counselor Schadenberg.
Yeah, one important event coming up on Tuesday, September 30th, and yes, at 7 a.m. I know Mayor Adjournment and I attended it last year, and that's the Truth and Reconciliation Sunrise Ceremony at the Pittock Conservation Area on the North Shore. So it's essentially what they call the Bluegrass area. And Mary Lou Smoke will be the guest speaker again this year. Not sure if last year's event was the last public appearance of Dan Smoke, her husband, but he passed away soon thereafter. But Mary Lou Smoke will be attending this year. A reminder, the escape rooms continue at the museum. So it's woodstockmuseum.ca. You can have up to 6 people on your team. The theme is called 13 Ghosts, and it continues until October the 4th, Friday and Saturdays from 4 until 9 p.m. So contact the museum. Couple of sports items. I want to mention the Woodstock Navy Vets have already started their Junior C season. They're 1-1 on the year. They have a home game tomorrow night. They host Paris Titans at 7:45. Interesting about tomorrow night, free admission for any emergency first responders. So that includes nurses, doctors, ambulance drivers, anyone that's a first responder, free admission. Justin Elms is the new head coach. He's a former player of the team. And Darren Young continues to be the team's GM. One more hockey team to mention, the Woodstock Lakers will start well, it's not their first season, but it's their first season in what's now called the North Premier Senior Hockey League. The Woodstock's in the Metro Division. Not sure why it's called the Metro Division, because there's teams in Stratford, Orangeville, Strathroy, Alvinston. So a lot of teams outside of the Metro area as well. They'll play their first home game on Saturday, October the 4th at the Reeves Community Center, 7:45 against Alvinston. And you can buy an entire season pass, so I believe that's for 10 games for $50. More information, you can contact their general manager, Jeff Zayer, at live.ca. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. And Counselor Tate.
Yes, Lynn will be, she'll be missed. She was, interesting one, talk about abusive. We were at a council meeting, one of the male counselors on county council called her a liar in the middle of the meeting. So I lost it and asked him to apologize. And Lynn called me after and she was so thankful. It was terrible what went on, but she was so thankful. And a funny story, a couple new counselors, I'm not gonna say who, but she went up to the one counselor, probably around budget time, and just said she wasn't sure how this counselor was gonna be, because didn't know the counselor, but really impressed that she always pushed back. And it's funny coming from Lynn of all people, but she'll be missed. And just a happy story. So there's a number of people I have to thank. So the mayor, Councillor Lauder, Councillor Wismer Van Meer, Jay from IT, Tom from the Water Department, Jason from the depot. I tried to write everybody's name down. So what had happened was, my son went out to somebody's house. There was a dog that was chained up 24/7. Of course, he has to tell me about it, so I have to help. And all these people I contacted all helped me to try and find this dog a home. And my friend Diane Denby had posted, and she had everybody was trying to find this dog a home. It was unbelievable. One day, I had to take the dog home at night because I couldn't keep it overnight. And Craig Luddington said to me, "Oh, I love that dog. I'm gonna take a picture. I'm gonna post it." So he posted it on the Friday. The next day, somebody contacted me. Met, she took the dog on the Saturday. Fantastic family, 2 kids, 2 other dogs, an acre like outside of Embro. But the other part of the story, so I'm telling my friend Diane, everybody's so happy. I let Jay know because Jay was quite upset about the whole thing. And Diane had a group of people, so she told all these people got together and they donated money to this family to help with this, to get the dog fixed. Not that they needed it, but I thought, what a fantastic community. So thank you to everybody. It was amazing that everybody came together, and I drove by and I saw the dog the other day and she keeps me up to date. But thanks to everybody for trying to get this dog a home, and really appreciate the community that I live in. That's it.
Well, I'm certainly glad to hear they found a good home, because that did go around social media for a while to ensure that happened. Thinking of Director Buckner, she was always fantastic, full respect. She was certainly one that you can ask. Sometimes I'm sure it was a stupid question, but she didn't make you feel stupid and would answer it and explain and fully would comprehend and answer after the fact. And I'm forever thankful for her. And it's really unfortunate she didn't get to enjoy her retirement as much as she as hard as she worked. So thinking of her and her family during this extremely difficult time. Congratulations. It's been another busy couple of weeks around here in the city of Woodstock. Terry Fox run Sunday was another very successful run. I want to thank all the volunteers and all the participants. It was one of the highest amount of people that came out to participate, and over $44,000 so far raised on that event. And 45 years of that run is something significant for cancer research, thinking of all those that are suffering right now. This morning we had the Big Brothers Big Sister flag raising here. We did one at Oxford County and then came over to Museum Square. The Be a Spark campaign, I think, is really super important. If you can mentor someone, if you can assist, if it's through Big Brothers Big Sisters or even just independently, please be the mentor, be the inspiration. And you may not even know you're doing it, just help somebody out. Our youth do need that guidance. If you can't volunteer, donate if possible. Big Brothers Big Sisters is the organization that leads the charge to help the youth and keep them active and keep them engaged. And if there's any way you can assist, please do. We're really excited for Taste of Art. It's one of my wife's and I favorite events. In fact, we're postponing a little getaway just so we won't miss Taste of Art. We are excited to get there Saturday night. As mentioned, there are a couple more tickets available. Trust me, do not go out and eat beforehand. Come hungry. It is a fantastic event. Look at some great artwork, mingle, and get some samples from all the local businesses and a few beverages here at the museum, or sorry, at the art gallery. Next up, we're talking about museum. We filmed Condemned, a mini-series, a 5-part mini-series using the museum here in the city of Woodstock. And tomorrow night is the premiere. So I want to big a huge shout out to producer Farrah Foster Manning. This is our first series. I want to thank her for the opportunity, giving local people some acting jobs. You may recognize me with hair in it. I've got a small part. It was a lot of fun and excited to see it all put together tomorrow evening at the theater for a premiere screening. And I want to say a big shout out to our economic staff. Economic Development had a huge part of this. Lisa Lama, sorry, Brad, but Lisa in particular was essential in organizing and helping out with our museum staff to figure things out and get it planned. And I think this puts us on another level when we're competing with having a location like we do here in the city of Woodstock, and looking forward as they are doing a second season here in the city of Woodstock. So really excited, and that's of course on Bell Fiber TV right now. Hopefully it'll go on even further. Fall Fest, really excited for Fall Fest. It is a new event here in the city. Make sure you come out. It is on October 4th. Our rescue dog Dexter will be leading the charge. Sarah and I will have Dexter there. We're gonna lead the parade and bring your dog out, and be the first dog parade I've ever been in. Been in lots of parades, I've never been in a dog parade. So excited for that. Get down in Museum Square around earlier than 2 o'clock. We'll start forming and leaving at 2:30 is the plan. With that, make sure you are paying attention. I'm getting a lot of complaints in school zones. Slow down. We all control our right foot. If we all slowed down, left 10 minutes earlier, we would not get so many complaints. Thank you to the crossing guards, to staff that are out there literally keeping our children safe, but you can do it by your right foot. Please slow down. With that, looking for a motion to adjourn. Councillor Schattenberg, seconded by Councillor Martin. All those in favor, we are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.